darkness, infinite and heavy, reigned in this place. It was not simply dark, but deep and impenetrable, where every particle of air seemed impregnated with despair and fear. This was a place where not even light could penetrate, because the darkness itself was so dense and ancient that it absorbed all attempts to penetrate it. Hell was not simply an empty space, but a field of eternal sufferings, an abyss where time lost all meaning. There was no hope or peace here, only endless screams of torment. The lava that covered these lands was not warm. It burned, melting everything in its path, and its color was not red, but black and dead, like hell itself. Every sound, every movement here reminded of the endless pain that surrounded everything left in this place. And no matter how much the souls tried to find a way, the light was unreachable for them, in the end, endless. However, at the most unexpected moment, when darkness had consumed everything, when it seemed that a little more and everything would be consumed forever, he arrived. Christ, not as an angel with a sword of fire, but as the very embodiment of light, came to this terrible world. He was not a stranger to pain or suffering, as many expected. On the contrary, he came to bring light and love through this place, which had not been here for hundreds of years. He walked on the land that had long lost any semblance. Through burning rivers of lava, like an invulnerable traveler, his steps sounded like music, in which hell could not find its place. The light he brought was not blinding like the rays of the sun, but calm, peaceful, and full of deep meaning. This was a light that healed, that could break the darkness. The lava that covered this world began to recede, as if the earth itself feared his presence. Each of his steps was filled with power. Each glance penetrated the depths of hell. Step by step, Christ advanced, and even the very atmosphere began to change. He was not here by chance. He did not come for destruction or punishment, but with a great purpose, to free the souls that lamented in captivity. When his feet touched the burning earth, it became soft, as if it had lost its strength to resist. Even hell, with its millennia of pain, could not resist the light that emanated from him. Each of his movements did not destroy, but healed. He did not walk through this world as a conqueror, but as a liberator. The light that emanated from him was like a resurrecting fire that burned not to destroy, but to purify, to overcome any darkness. He was like an angel who did not fight against the enemy, but healed those who were once his prisoners. And with each of his steps, hell became increasingly empty, and its fire lost strength. The ancient walls of hell. When Christ continued his journey through this world, the walls of hell began to tremble. These walls were not just stones and matter. They were built from fears, from pain and longing that the souls brought with them when they left this world. These walls contained all their sufferings, all their regrets, and an infinite sense of guilt. Around them, there was not only darkness, but dark entities, radiating darkness and destruction. This was a place where there was no possibility of forgiveness, where each scream was drowned out by a new, more torturous one. Hell was not just a prison for souls, but a place where their pain became part of the walls themselves, part of the very air they breathed. And these walls knew that no one could free themselves from their grip. They had become part of this darkness, and the darkness, in turn, had become part of them. But as soon as Christ began to approach, the very structure of hell began to lose its form. Each step he took, each glance he sent, made these walls tremble, as if they tried to retreat but could not. The creatures that lived in these walls began to tremble with fear, not understanding what was happening. Hell was the place they considered invincible, and now their power over the souls seemed completely useless. Everything that was evil and painful in this place now retreated before the face of love and the power of Christ. These ancient walls, which for centuries had not yielded to any attack, began to crack and crumble, like houses demolished by an earthquake. But Christ did not fight against them with weapons. He did not use force. He simply walked, and the walls crumbled before him, because he was the light that destroyed the darkness itself. The liberation of the righteous. When Christ reached the very heart of hell, he did not immediately see those he had come to liberate. At first, he only saw the void, souls darkened by darkness, submerged in pain and suffering. These souls were those who had left the world before the Messiah arrived. They were righteous who in their time could not enter heaven because they had to wait for the one who would free them from this intermediate state. These souls lived in hope, in the faith that one day he would come who would open the gates of heaven for them. And now before Christ they stood, but could not see him. They knew he was there, but could not fully comprehend that he had come for them. Christ approached them, and their hearts filled with light. This light penetrated the darkest corners of their essence, and suddenly they felt they were no longer forgotten, no longer abandoned in this gloomy place. With love and compassion in his eyes, he extended his hands toward them. This was not just salvation, it was a return to life. The souls that had suffered for so long felt that they had a purpose again, that their hands and hearts were filled with light. They were not forgotten, they were not rejected. Christ had come for them, to free them from all the chains that held them in this place. In response to his presence, these souls began to advance like healed sick, returning to life. Their paths were luminous, and with each step they took, hell lost its power. The light that destroys darkness, when Christ led these righteous ones out of hell, the world itself began to change. This was not just a victory in battle, it was a complete transformation, a restoration of everything that had been lost. The lava, which was once a symbol of destruction, now cooled. The darkness, which was everywhere, now retreated, unable to withstand the confrontation with such light. And this light was not blinding. It was alive, full of warmth and peace. It not only illuminated this world, but also penetrated every soul. And these souls finally felt relief at being able to return to life. Hell was empty because its essence had been destroyed by the light. Its walls crumbled, its rivers of lava cooled, and this place, which was the realm of fear and pain, was now only a monument to the old life that no longer existed. Christ conquered darkness, not by fighting it directly, but simply by existing in this place as light. His presence was what destroyed the very essence of hell, and now as he led the righteous behind him, the darkness could not follow them. This light became an unbreakable symbol of victory over everything that kept people in captivity. The gates of heaven opened. When Christ led these liberated souls to the gates of heaven, they stood before them, waiting for a passage to open. And this passage opened. The gates, which had been sealed for them, now opened wide. These souls, who had waited so long for their salvation, could finally enter the light, the world that had been prepared for them. At that moment, when Christ stood before the gates of heaven, they all felt incredible joy. Their hearts filled with light, and hell, which once held them captive, became a simple memory of those times when the light had not yet arrived. This was not just the end of a mission, but the beginning of a new era for all humanity. Christ, who conquered death, opened the gates of heaven not only for the righteous, but also for all those who believed in him. And although hell still existed, it was no longer a place where souls could suffer eternally. It became a reminder of how Christ came and conquered darkness. And now, anyone who believed in him could be sure that the path to salvation was open.